everyone, and welcome to the 99th episode of Don't Forget the Popcorn. Didn't get to watch as many as normal, but I did get a few in this month. I have my top five, so let's not waste any time. Like and subscribe. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. That'll be linked below. Let's get into everything I watched in August. Byron and Charles, 2022, directed by Jim Archer. I actually enjoyed this movie quite a bit. This film is about a guy, I think he lives in maybe like Wales or something, I don't know. But he invents weird things and he ends up making a guy out of like a washer machine or something. It's something weird, but it was a very touching film. It was pretty funny. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend this to you if you like, little weird, quirky comedies. I will give Brian and Charles a 7.4 out of 10. American Movie, 1999, directed by Chris Smith. Now, this was kind of this is a documentary more so than a movie. It's about this guy who's literally putting it all on the line to make this short film. And truthfully, this is a film about low class middle America. That's truthfully what this is about, more so than anything. I actually thought this was pretty good and entertaining. I couldn't say this for everyone, but if you're into interesting documentaries, check this out. I'm going to give American Movie a 7.3 out of 10. Deliverance, 1972, directed by John Boorman. Okay, this movie was insane. First of all, Burt Reynolds, incredible in this. Jon Voight, incredible in this. This film was about some guys who go up to the I don't know where they go. It seems like they're in like the Appalachia, but they go out to do some bro out fishing trip, and they run into these like locals, for lack of better terms, and they get into some stuff. It's kind of like a weird horror movie. I don't know. This movie was crazy, but it was good. This movie has some heavy stuff in it, so I can't say it's for everyone. But if you're into some trippy horror backwoods shit, check this out. I'm gonna give Deliverance an 8 out of 10. Tuki Buki, 1973, directed by Jabril Diop Mambedi. This is believe this. I don't know what language this film is, and some of it's in French. Most of it might be in French. It's about these two African kids who want to go to Paris, and they do all these crimes around their little village to get the money to go to Paris. And it's just one of those films about how maybe the journey was actually more fun than the destination. It's a pretty good film. It's got some weird stuff in it, but I did like a lot of it. So this is a cinephile one. So if you're not a deep cinephile, I would not suggest this. I'm going to give Tuki Buki a 7.6 out of 10. Waking Life, 2001, directed by Richard Linklater. This is a cool little animated film Richard Linklater made. He's done this before. This film it's about this kid who's going through his dreams, and he's having all these different intellectual conversations with people. And he has a discovery at the end of the movie, which I figured this shit out very quickly. But this is a very conversational film. I actually think it does work better in animation. I think it was a smart move to do that. I like the film. I didn't love it. Richard Linklater's made better, but it's decent. So if you're into conversational films, if you like, films that talk about theories and things about life, I would check this out. I'm going to give Waking Life a 7.3 out of 10. The Squid and the Whale, 2005, directed by Noah Baumbach. Well, I'll go ahead and say this is a top 5 of the month. Let me tell you something. Um, I think this might be no. This is not Noah's best film. Noah's best film is probably Frances Ha, but this would be number 2. This film is about a couple and a family in New York City, late 80s, and this family's going through a divorce, and it shows us how a bunch of pretentious assholes would deal with this. I thought this film was incredible, very entertaining, short watch, nice easy pickup. If you're into family dramas, I would definitely give this a watch. Jeff Daniels, great performance. I'm going to give Squid and the Whale a 9 out of 10. Julie and Julia, 2009, directed by Nora Ephron. This film is about Julia Childs and this woman who has found her cookbook and wants to start a blog, and she wants to vlog all these recipes. And Amy Adams plays the chick, and Meryl Streep plays Julia Childs, and of course Meryl Streep is incredible. So is Amy Adams. They're both two of the best. It's a pretty cute film. If you like cooking movies, cute little dramas, I would definitely check this out. I would give Julie and Julia a 7 out of 10. The Italian Job, 2003, directed by F. Gary Gray. Now, this movie comes out in the wake of Oceans, and let's keep it real. Oceans is a far better film than this, but this film is still fun and entertaining. It's got a good cast. You got Mark Wahlberg and Mos Def, Jason Statham. Who is it? Ed Norton. Is it Ed Norton? Yeah, it's Ed Norton. Yeah, you got a good cast in here. It's a good film, but when you compare it to other heist movies, there's better ones. But this is definitely worth a watch if you're into action films. I'm gonna give The Italian Job a 6.8 out of 10. Volver, 2006, directed by Pedro Almodovar. Now, I really, really, really like this director, and this is a top 5 of the month. This guy is just, man, he knows how to make an entertaining, grabbing, beautiful, gorgeous film, and it doesn't hurt that Penelope Cruz is the lead. This film is absolutely incredible. A fun movie. It's honestly, this movie is kind of plotless. It's really about this woman who's just trying to raise her daughter and reconnect with her mother. That's truthfully what this film is about. And it's just incredible. A lot of crazy stuff happens in it, but it's incredible. I would really suggest this to anyone. I'm going to give Volver a 9.3 out of 10. The Sixth Sense, 1999, directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Now, I have seen this movie before, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. And I must say, I think it does still hold up. Now, once you know the twist, it definitely doesn't smack like the first time you watch it, which I won't say in case there are anyone who hasn't seen this movie. Sixth Sense is a good film. It's not the best movie, but it's definitely a good one. So I'm going to give The Sixth Sense a 7.7 out of 10. Match Point, 2005, directed by Woody Allen. Newer Woody Allen, a lot of people don't like, but I actually like newer Woody Allen, and I think this film was very, very good. But my issue with this film is, I thought this was going to be a freaking tennis movie, dude. This movie has nothing to do with actual tennis. It's all about metaphors. So it's not really about freaking tennis. It's about metaphors, So it kind of has to do with tennis, but, I can't sit here and say, if you like the sport of tennis, this is your movie. This movie has about a guy who ends up with a girl and ends up liking another girl, but it's much deeper than that. I would just watch it. I'm going to give Match Point a 7.8 out of 10. Shaft, 1971, directed by Gordon Parks. Now, original Shaft. I had never seen this blaxploitation film. Great film. It was good. Fun action. You know, if you've seen a blaxploitation film from the 70s, you get the gist. If you like them, you'll like this. I'm going to give Shaft a 7.4 out of 10. Hitman 2024, directed by Richard Linklater. You know, I went into this movie not expecting much, even though a lot of people said it was decent. I trust Richard Linklater, and I actually am a fan of Glenn Powell. But this movie was far better than it probably should have been. I actually love this movie. I thought it was really funny. I think Glenn Powell showed that he is a star. I'm calling it now. He's the next Chris Evans. That's my opinion. But this movie was funny. It was good. It was silly. It's about a teacher who works with the police on the side, and he catches people who are trying to put hits out on people. And this movie is great. It's a Netflix movie. Just watch it. Watch it. I thought it was funny. Truthfully, this movie was in the conversation of being a top 5 of the month, as weird as it may seem. So I'm going to give Hitman an 8.2 out of 10. Twister 1996, directed by Jean de Bont. Man, it's Twister, classic 90s film. Of course, I've seen this before, but I wanted to watch it again in preparation to watch Twisters, which I will discuss later. This movie was decent, you know. It's a fun, if you like 90s movies, you'll definitely like it. It's so 90s, my lord. I'm going to give Twister a 7 out of 10. White Material 2008, directed by Claire Denis. Oh, this movie was great. Stars one of my favorites, the beautiful Isabelle Huppert, who's still going hard in her 70s. Claire Denis, another legend, going hard still. This movie's about a woman who's living in an African village, and she owns a coffee plantation, and she's there, and there's a war going on, and it's time for her to leave and go back to France, where she's from. But this white woman does not want to leave. She wants to stay. She feels like this is home. And man, things get really insane. I thought this movie was great. You know, truthfully, anyone could watch this and get something out of it. I'm going to give White Material an 8 out of 10. Duck, You Sucker, 1971, directed by Sergio Leone. Fun Western from the goat of spaghettis, Mr. Sergio, going hard as usual. This was a good film. It's about these two unlikely guys who unfortunately have to begrudgingly work together. And it's just a fun time Western movie, man. It ain't Once Upon a Time in the West or The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly or none of the classic ones, but it's still a fun time. I enjoyed it. I'm going to give Duck, You Sucker a 7.6 out of 10. The Hurt Locker, 2008, directed by Catherine Bigelow. Oscar-winning film. I'd seen pieces of this movie, but I must confess, this is really my first time truthfully sitting down and watching this movie. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it very accurately, you know, based on people I know and have spoken to that have been to war in this time. I thought it accurately showed things that they discuss. It's one of those films that, you know, it's a slow burner, but by the end of it, you get it. If you're a war movie fan, I would definitely suggest this, but I'm going to give Hurt Locker an 8 out of 10. Plan B, 2021, directed by Natalie Morales. Okay, this is another film that I didn't expect to like as much as I did. This movie was very funny. Definitely had a Booksmart vibe to it. This movie's about these two kind of dorky girls, And one of them, she's a virgin, and she throws a party, and she ends up sleeping with someone, and she gets scared, and she needs to get a Plan B pill. And they go on this whole journey to get this pill, and it's fucking funny, man. I enjoyed it quite a bit. These girls were good. Hope to see them in more stuff. I would suggest this to anyone. Anyone can watch this. Funny. I will give Plan B a 7.8 out of 10. The Invisible Guest, 2016, directed by Oriol Paulo. Now, this film here, I thought it was good. I don't think it was great as everyone else seems to. This film, I felt like it, in my personal opinion, I think they tried to throw too much in it to twist it around. I think a less is more approach would have been better. Was the ending shocking? Yes. But it was shocking, but I didn't think it was, mind blowing or brilliant or anything. But I did enjoy this film, and I thought it was very well acted, and the look of it's pretty cool. I'm going to give The Invisible Guest a 7.5 out of 10. Deadpool and Wolverine, 2024, directed by Sean Levy. Okay, I mean, this movie was fucking great, dude. I had a great time with this movie. I love Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman's chemistry. They were so good together. Of course, there's all kinds of goofy stuff in here, a lot of weird stuff, of course, but overall, this movie is nothing but pure entertainment. I don't think that can be denied. Anyone who likes hero action comedies, this is right up your alley. And this is a top 5 of the month. Now, normally my top 5s usually get a 9 or higher. I didn't think this was quite 9 worthy, but with the lack of films I watched, this kind of by default ended up making the top 5. But I am going to give Deadpool and Wolverine an 8.7 out of 10. The Beast, 2023, directed by Bertrand Bonello. This was a great French film starring my girl Léa Seydoux. I'm a huge fan of her. The worst part about it is no one saw it, and I feel like this is a movie that most people wouldn't like, but I actually thought it was very, very brilliant. This film is about a woman who is kind of having all these different scenarios happen within her life, and it's kind of feels like one long dream, but they're all interactions with this guy, and it's one of those movies. It's really hard to explain without giving everything away. I would just watch this, but I know it's not for everyone. But for me, it's a top 5 of the month, and I'm going to give The Beast a 9.1 out of 10. Quiet Place Day One, 2024, directed by Michael Cernovsky. Well, I must say, I didn't like this movie that much. This is actually probably the worst watch on the list for the month, for me personally. It was okay. Truthfully, I just think in comparison to the two sequels to what this is, because this is a prequel, it's just kind of boring. Lupita was great. She's always great. But, I mean, I could have lived without this. We didn't need it. I think the other movies are better. I would have rather seen A Quiet Place 3 than Day One. So I'm going to give Quiet Place Day One a 6.2 out of 10. Maxine, 2024, directed by Ty West. Well, I have kind of turned into a huge Mia Goth fan over the last couple years. And, X was okay. Pearl was great. Maxine was pretty good. Pearl, I still think, is the best one out of the trilogy, but this is definitely the next up. Maxine, obviously, it's just a continuation of the X trilogy. If you've seen those, then you know what it is. If you don't, I would watch those before you watch this. I'm going to give Maxine a 7.6 out of 10. Raw, 2016, directed by Julia Ducournau. Well, let me tell you, this is a insane French language film. I was like, holy shit, what am I watching? This movie's been on my list a while and I really wanted to see it. And I must say, this movie is a masterpiece. I loved this movie so much. This was a great film. The crazy thing is I really wouldn't suggest this to most people, but I thought this film was brilliant. It's about a young girl who's a vegetarian. She goes to college, veterinary school, and it's kind of the family trade. And her sister's there. She's a year older than her, maybe 2 years, whatever. And she ends up doing something kind of like some initiation, and she starts to get a craving for meat. And boy, let me tell you, this movie gets fucking wild. I could only suggest this to cinephiles or horror fans. Even though I don't consider this a horror movie, I guess it would kind of fall into the horror category. But I'm going to give Raw, which is a top 5 of the month, a 9.6 out of 10. Twisters, 2024, directed by Lee Isaac Chung. Well, like I said, I would talk about this movie when I talked about Twister. Twisters was decent. The best part about it is Glenn Powell. It's got this, I'll tell you what, if you're a country fan, if you like country music and Western kind of vibes, not old Western, like, you know, country Western kind of vibes, this was definitely up your alley. This movie, it's decent. It's got some cool effects, but it definitely, you know, we didn't need it. I didn't hate it though. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, you know, I wasn't bored, you know, I had a good time with it. I mean, I would suggest this to you. I think it's worth watching. Yeah, it is. I'm going to give Twisters a 7.2 out of 10. Last but not least, The Bike Riders, 2024, directed by Jeff Nichols. And I love Austin Butler, and I love Tom Hardy, so I was excited to see this movie. This movie is about a gang of bikers in Chicago who kind of they show them going through the years as their lives change and priorities and things like that. I thought this film was great. I had a great time with this. I thought Tom Hardy and Austin Butler gave great performances. If you're in you know, just some cool like crime dramas and shit like that, biker movies. If you like Sons of Anarchy, I would watch this. I'm going to give The Bike Riders a 7.8 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching my Everything I Watched in August. My 100th episode is coming up, so I will have a special video for you for that. It might take me a little while because it's got a lot of work involved and I've been really busy lately, so bear with me. But I will be back with that soon. Guys, let me know if there's a film or topic you would like me to review. It's going to take me a little bit. I actually have a lot more requests than I expect, so I got some films to watch. Guys, like and subscribe. Help me out. I appreciate it. Follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. That'll be linked below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that down below for more movie content. I'll be back real soon. And don't forget the popcorn.